everyone. Welcome to a special series of Enoki Uncensored, where we are featuring the stories behind Enoki's 20th anniversary festivities, but specifically our sponsors and partners. Now, this is something that we haven't done in the past. I felt really kind of aligned to doing it because I feel that the whole big thing here, the big idea behind what we're doing is that this is not just about the talent and the celebrities and the influencers and all those people who are very valuable. Obviously, without them, we don't have programming, we don't have shows. But without our sponsors and partners, we literally don't have a campaign. So I always felt that, when we do our 20th anniversary, I want to be able to spotlight and feature the stories behind the brands that support us and the brands that I truly feel that you guys need to know about. So without further ado, today I will be featuring KFI, the Indian sauce company, founded in 2008 by Rishi Kataria, who joins us here today. Welcome to the show, Rishi, and thank you for agreeing to do this.
Hi, Raj. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here with you today.
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, I want to start before I kind of, jump into our questions. Look at that wall behind you. That is just super awesome. And I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm wearing your brand colors here.
I love it.
I full on thought, where do I have an orange dress? I'm putting it on. I am going to be aligned with your brand today. So let's talk a little bit about the story behind why you decided and what was it in 2008 that led you to feel that you needed to launch a brand like this. Let's go back a little bit to give context.
Yeah, the story does go back. So it started, I was about 26 years old and fresh new grad, finished my MBA, got a job downtown at the bank and enjoying life, blowing my money at the clubs and just not a care in the world. And so one day I got a call from my mom and dad and, it was a Saturday afternoon and, they had nothing to do, I guess. So they started making some chutney and they decided to pack it in an old pencil bottle. And my mom she doesn't claim to be a chef. She's a businesswoman through and through. She still runs her business today. And she asked me, do you think there's a business idea here? And, I was a keen graduate and I thought, let me go out, do some market research and let me understand the market and see what's going on. And so I went out and I realized two things. I realized first, whatever was available didn't really taste very good. It tasted bland, oily. It just didn't feel like homemade, like it wasn't something I would buy.
Mm-hmm.
And two, everything was imported. So I thought there is certainly an opportunity here. Indian food at that point was so undiscovered. People had no idea what flavor was really all about. And the stuff that was available didn't do it justice. And so I said, yeah, there's definitely an opportunity here. And so, 6 months later, I quit my job.
Wow.
And I didn't have much in the bank, obviously, and moved back in with my parents. And that's where the story began. So it's kind of an unconventional story in that, we created this as a family. It was, it's not a generational business yet, but it is one that started with my parents. And so I quit my job, downtown, and I started lugging cases of chutney around from one store to the next. So it was definitely a hit on my ego, to say the least.
Right.
But it was a learning experience. And so that's where we started. But when we started, we were very clear that, we wanted to be a mainstream brand. We didn't want to look like, an imported brand from India or wherever. We wanted to really change the game, so to speak. And that's where we started. And so, we were very clear. Now we did start in the Indian market because that was the easiest place to start.
Low hanging fruit, of course.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, although we wanted to be mainstream, we needed to make sure that our people liked our products too. So
there it is. That's the magic piece right there.
Absolutely. Because, you know, if I want to, if I want some recommendations on a good Chinese sauce, I'm going to go ask my Chinese friend.
Mhm.
I'm not going to go ask my German friend. So, that was kind of our testing grounds. And so, we'd go and I'd leave a case and I'd say, listen, if it doesn't sell, I'll come back in a month and I'll pick it up and I won't charge you.
Mhm.
And that worked. And so, bit by bit, we started growing. I remember going to Rabba's as my first customer and, nervous as ever. And he agreed to list my product. And I was like over the moon. And, this was our first victory. And so from
A
there, we
big
went from,
victory.
yeah, that was a big one.
Yeah.
Because that was our entry into the mainstream. And so, together with my mom, my dad, my brother, the four of us, we really worked really hard. And, so when we started, I put together a business plan,
Mhm.
as a very diligent MBA would do. And I thought I put a 5-year plan together and I said, in my plan in 5 years, I was going to build this thing so big and then I was going to sell it. And I was going to retire and I was going to go on vacation. Well, 5 years literally came and went in a blink of an eye, and I was
Mhm.
nowhere near where I needed to be. But at that point, you keep going, you
Yeah.
keep going. So and so here we are today.
Yeah.
We are all of our products are made in Mississauga, so we're very proud of that. That we stuck
Yeah.
true to one of those core insights, which was to make something local.
Mhm.
And we're sold in all major grocery stores. So we make Indian cooking sauces. We make everything from butter chicken sauce, tikka masala, coconut curry. We also have a line of chutneys, and um, and that's kind of our story. I mean, without boring everyone, that's our story
I
as we
think there's
start.
nothing, I don't think there's anything boring about fabulous, authentic Indian sauces. When you look around the world, it is very, very eaten food, right? We know this. And there's a lot of different, opportunities on the market, but there's something very unique about you in that you're homegrown, you're locally sourced, you are very particular about ensuring that the product is actually getting a check mark from the community before you decided to kind of take it out there into the mainstream, which I love. I have to share one thing with you though, Rishi, is you're also very much a very well branded product. The oranges, your logo, etc. Can we talk a little bit about that? Because I know that probably comes from your MBA market research background. Can you tell the story a little bit about your obvious visual branding?
Oh, thank you. We went through a lot of iterations in the beginning. Um, and we because we were, when I look at a label at that time, I looked at it as, well, it's an opportunity to make an impression on your customer. That's really what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And when you walk the aisles, you see a lot of stuff, and they tend to kind of all blend together. And for me, you know I love art. I'm a big fan of art and inspiration and beautiful things. And so, I wanted to create a label that spoke to our culture, that spoke to us as Indo-Canadians, something that we could relate to, but also to like mainstream, the people who are
Mm-hmm.
not Indian, and they could look at our label and it tells a story, right? I think, we decided to use the Taj Mahal because it's such an iconic piece of our culture. And,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and so, the artist that I was working with back then, very, very talented guy, he gets all the credit because it's easy to have a vision, but making that vision come to life is very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
And so now, like, in fact, this is the background that we've kind of went with, and we haven't really changed it. And it's something that's now it's like it's such a big part of our brand, and we don't want
Yeah,
to ever go away from it. And so. And we also went with the shrink sleeve label. That was the other thing. Like a lot of people were using the sticker labels that wrap around, which is
mm-hmm.
great. When we launched, we saw this new technology come out, and we jumped on it. Anything to kind of distinguish yourself from the competition always helps.
Absolutely. And you know what's really interesting is that KFI actually stands for something specific. Can you share that?
It stands for can't find it. You know what?
That's
When I first
hilarious.
heard that,
Yeah.
a customer called me and was like, what does KFI stand for? Because they can't find it. So I think that's what it stands for. It stands for Kataria Foods International.
Okay,
Yeah,
got
that's
it.
right.
I love that this is a family business, and I feel that your daughters are probably going to step beautifully into this and retire you, which was your original plan. Remember?
Yes, that's
So
right.
even though you think that you're probably going to, you know, sell it, I kind of got a feeling because there's a lot of love, a lot of
Yeah.
family, a lot of community involved in your product and the energy around it. I feel that this is definitely going to be a long-term generational opportunity for the family, which is wonderful. I'm very curious about something. What is the mission of your company? Share that with everyone.
Our mission statement is something that's been around for forever, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things that you also learn in school, and I think our mission was kind of set by one of those two insights that I first had when we got out there, which really was to create really good Indian food. That's it. And we want to make it the same all the time. I think that
Mm-hmm.
those two things for me is kind of what's kind of kept us in our lane, which is so whenever we come up with an idea for a new product, we go through so many different varieties and iterations of it just to make sure we've got something that tastes really good. And that's really
Mm-hmm.
important. It's really easy to come up with a product and put it into the market. Whether it sells or not, it's a whole different story, but you can do that. Because you know what, like here, we kind of have a mantra here that we came up with a couple of years ago, which is uh, families feeding families. And so so families feeding families. It means that, all the people that are working in our facility here, they all have families at home. And so
Mm-hmm.
when we make a product here, we want to make it with such care and effort that we would feed it to our own families.
Mm-hmm. And
And
that's
I
the
think
key
like,
here.
yeah, like we are really family centric, that family core is so important to all of us. And we treat all of our staff like their family. Like,
Mm-hmm.
my mom, she'll come into the office once a week and, she'll do her puja and she'll go around the office. And it's just like, so people really, they become attached and so it's a good feeling, but it's really, making sure we've got good stuff, making sure it tastes the same, and you know what, just feeling good about it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So,
So I want to ask you, what makes your company stand out in your market? I mean, I feel that you've answered this question already with the packaging, with the story behind it, with, what your end objective is to ensure that that what you create is authentic. Anything else there that you want to add? Like what if people go and they see a slew of sauces, what is it about KFI that makes you stand out?
see, it's when you're walking the grocery aisle, all you really have is your packaging that makes you stand out, and so definitely that's helped us. Then when I think about it, you know, if you so that's the consumer side of it. But when you look
Yeah.
at the other side of the business, which is your B2B side, it's our word, it's the way we go about doing our business, right? Like so one thing I've always preached to our sales team and even our quality team is, you know say what you mean and mean what you say.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if I go and tell a buyer that I'm going to have this for you on Thursday, well then we better have it to you on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
If they want a presentation on something, we said we'll do it. Let's make sure we do it. Let's just not like BS is cheap now, right? Like BS 10, 15 years ago, you could BS your way through anything. You would get away with it. Now it's not as easy. So now, people are looking for integrity, authenticity. People want to feel like you're listening. And I feel like that has helped us stand out amongst our competition in the buyer's market, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
if a buyer's asking me, you know, which product should we remove? Right? It's a difficult question because you don't ever want to have a product removed. But if you can answer the question honestly, they'll listen. And the next time they ask you a question, they're going to listen again. So it's building a trust. I think
Yes.
I really believe that those relationships that we've built um, on a strong foundation is what's kind of helped us get this far. The distributors that we've had when we first started, they're still with us today. So a
That
lot of the
says a
staff,
lot.
yeah, it really is. Like we're not, you know, the food business is a difficult business to begin with. It's not for the faint of heart. And you know what? If you don't deliver, you'll be out pretty quickly. You know. So I'd say those two things. I mean, our packaging has always been our flavors. If you don't have a
Hmm.
good product, you're not going to last very long. So
Right.
we spend a lot of time doing that.
And I love that because, you said two things that I feel make for any really excellent, business. And one is that the product stands up to the story you're telling. And then the other is that the product is reliable down the food chain. So whether that's the B2B piece or whether that's the B2C piece. I want to ask you this because I feel that this is a very important question, especially for anyone out there who may be dealing with challenges right now in their businesses, or who may be looking at going into business, but don't really know if it's the right decision for them because they've always been kind of in the safer zone with the corporate zone. I want to ask you this. What has been the biggest challenge that you've had to overcome, and how have you overcome it?
It's a very difficult question because you know what, like businesses have more than one big challenge. Like it's a challenge right from day one. It's a challenge, and you know this because you've
Of
ran a
course.
successful business for many, many years, and so when I thought about this question, you know, so the question, I guess I would answer it two different ways. I mean, as a business, as an ethnic brand, in the grocery industry, our biggest challenge has been education, right?
Hmm.
So 17 years ago when we started, nobody really knew what butter chicken was. No one knew what chicken tikka masala was, or jat papri, or any of these great things that we love. And so, you have a product, it gets on the shelf, but now selling it becomes the hardest part. And if people don't know what it is to begin with, I mean, that's a really big pickle to be in. So um, we realized that for us, solving this challenge was, well, you get the mango there. Look at that. That's our new
Yeah,
packaging, by the way. What do you
I
think?
love it, sweetheart. I love it. It's there's a lot of kind of art that's infused in it. I can see some elements here from our culture in terms of the design work is very, very specific. I love it. And honestly, like even the colors, like this is what I love about your brand, Rishi, is that this looks like chutney to me. Like this color this looks like
Yeah.
chutney.
Right,
You know what I
right,
mean?
right.
And this looks like mango chutney. So these are the kinds of minute details I feel that is the big difference between brands who are trying to get there and brands who actually know what they're doing. I want to share that because
I
I've been
really
looking at
appreciate that.
this. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that label. So our chutneys was our first line of products, and
Yeah.
that label. And there's another one. So
This one is insane. Like before you tell that story, I just got to,
yeah,
I want to kind of show people, look at the artwork here, guys. And this actually must be, when you think of Pani Puri, you think of like street food,
yeah.
Indian street food. This is actually what you feel. And the other thing is all the burst of colors. This is how you feel when you eat the food.
You put it in your mouth, right?
Right?
It's a party in your mouth. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a burst of color in your mouth. So please, I cut you off. Let's.
Oh, no worries. So the chutney, because you brought it up, and we talked about the challenge being education, and that was a really good example for us because so we went through 4 iterations, and that's our most recent one. This one took us a while, but like if you look at some of our older labels, the word chutney sauce is probably the smallest like text on the entire label. It used to be tiny. You couldn't even see what it was. And I
Mhm.
start to realize that, if someone reads tamarind, and then in small says chutney sauce, you're really not going to know what it is because you only get like 2 seconds at looking at a label. So, we decided to really simplify it. We made chutney sauce as big as it could be. And now, when you look at it, you see chutney sauce first, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of where and so that's a part of the process, right? I mean, in business, if you're not constantly looking forward, then you kind of might be going backwards.
No, I totally agree. And so I want to take a moment, Rishi, for you to kind of reflect back on the years that have been. And maybe we're going to answer this the same question a different way. And that is, what has been maybe a reoccurring challenge that you finally figured out? Is there one that you can share?
Hmm. I mean, it's a great question. There are definitely reoccurring challenges. Whether
Mm-hmm.
I've figured them out or not, I don't think I've figured them out. One of probably the hardest part of my job is managing my team. I think people management becomes so important in a business. You
Mm-hmm.
don't really realize that until you have a team, right? So for the first, I don't know, five years of the business, it was basically just myself and my mom and my dad, and they were doing their business, and I was just working out of an office, managing myself and my time. It was gotten easy, and then you get two or three people that are helping you, and it still doesn't feel like a team because we're kind of all together.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're close to 40, 50 people, and you really start to realize how important it is. So
Wow.
yeah, it's and I haven't figured it out, but I'm able to keep the people, which is a good thing.
I love that. They're still there. There must
They're
be
still there.
something valuable. There must be something valuable there. And, because there's so many opportunities out there in the workforce. Why do people stick around? And it really has a lot to do with your corporate culture, your culture
Yeah.
in your business. I want to ask you this. To date, Rishi, what do you deem to be your company's biggest success? If you were to just kind of pinpoint one thing, what would that be?
Yeah. It's actually this happened last year. We bought some data, so you can buy Nielsen data, which will tell
Yeah.
you what things are selling for and how much you've sold. And last year we bought this Nielsen data and we were going through it, and all of a sudden we realized that our KFI butter chicken sauce is the number one selling sauce in the entire category. So we're talking more than
What?
honey garlic, more than teriyaki. We sell more butter chicken sauce than pasta sauce. And that's if you put,
Wow.
yeah, it was. So this includes all the retailers across Canada. So your Walmart, Costco, Loblaws, Sobeys. You put them all together, and we are selling more butter chicken sauce than that blew my mind. I was completely shocked with that. So that would be my to date 100%. I'm very, very proud of that. That's what we've
Hmm.
worked towards. And so it's funny because one of the buyers I was speaking to, he pointed that out too. He said, we're selling more butter chicken sauce than pasta sauce. I said, what? You want to check your numbers again? Because something doesn't sound right here. But no, that's our biggest achievement to date. I mean, I'm happy to still be around. That's also that too. The
Of
food business
course.
can chew you up and spit you out real quick. But yeah, so now we're working on tikka masala. Now we want to make tikka masala the best-selling sauce. And so
Yeah, it's right
it's
here.
yeah, that's the one.
Yeah,
We actually
absolutely.
we just launched a 2-pack with Costco in a
Hmm.
yellow format. I'll show it to you. That's what
Oh, I
that looks
love
like.
that.
So went with a nice bright yellow,
Yeah,
and hopefully you'll start to see that in the stores.
I
Very,
love
very
it.
soon.
You know what
Thank you.
what I've noticed, Rishi, because being the mom that I am, I find that even though I've learned how to cook Indian food from scratch traditionally from my mom, her mom from and then the mom from the mom, you know how it
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
Um, every time I cook Indian food and all these decades that I've been cooking it, every time I cook it, the same dish is that little bit different. It's,
Right.
so
Yeah.
you're not too sure if you're going to, hit the mark each time. The great thing about your sauces is you're hitting the mark every single time and you're cutting the cooking time at least by half. That's the one thing that I feel that people need to, see, because a lot of people, when they look at sauces from other cultures, they think, well, oh, that's just for people who aren't from the culture. And that's not true. When you look today, right, at the way that we live and the multitasking that goes on, especially amongst like the, the Gen X, the Gen Y, the Gen Z communities, right? The education IQ on food is very high today, right?
Yeah.
We've consumed a lot of content around that. And I think that that's the important piece that I want to share with everyone, is that if someone like me, who's a mom, who's a Gen Xer, who has a grown son, who is busy working, and who really, like, honestly, guys, you'll notice this when you go to my stories, I cook Indian food every single day. I love Indian food. And when I have opportunities like this that cut my time in half, as a business owner, as a mom, as someone who has, obligations to her family, to her friends, to the community, these types of solutions are everything. So if you think that because you are South Asian, that this is not a choice for you, you're absolutely wrong. This is honestly the way to make sure that you are consistent with the flavors and you cut your time in half. That's the big thing I wanted to share right here. You want to add anything else to that, Rishi?
Yeah, it's interesting because so last year, we were, so my wife, we have 3 kids, and back then we had 2. And so she would always ask, what do you want to have for dinner tonight?
Yeah.
I would always be like, I don't know, just, whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm thinking about something else. And then I started thinking that I wonder who else is asking this question. It has to be everybody, because I remember my mom used to ask me when I was a kid, what do you want for dinner tonight? And so that question probably drives mothers crazy, because that's all they would think about is, what do we make for dinner? And so we took that, and so now we've been kind of building on that, and we're just getting ready to launch a new website, which is all around recipes, helping mothers and fathers like prepare meals, so you don't have to ask your question all the time and get answers that you don't like, right? So it's completely in line with what you're saying, in that, like, we need convenience, we need consistency, we need variety, and we need all these things, because lives have gotten so busy now. And so, we're really excited to launch our new website, and that's going to be all about what to make for dinner tonight.
Oh my God, I love that question. So can I ask you something around that? When can we expect to see this website? What can we expect to see on it? And what's the URL?
So the URL is KFI Sauces. It's a work in progress. We're hoping that the website, I'm supposed to be seeing a draft of it tomorrow. And we're hoping it goes live maybe in a month or so.
Okay.
And you know what? We've kind of left it to, my marketing guy and our graphic designer to, come up with something creative and something so simple to use that, and it also has a lot of content. That was the main thing. Like, I wanted this to have such a big variety of options that even like South Asians will appreciate going to the site.
Yes.
Right? This is not designed for someone who doesn't know anything about Indian food. This is designed for people who know Indian food, and so we'll give you our sauce and some protein that you might be able to use with it. But we'll also give you tips on how to improve it. So how to garnish, how to make a raita, or you want to do like a cucumber salad, like just little tips and tricks that we've kind of learned along the way. To really make it worth your while. Like, we want to make it a destination for mothers to go to.
I love it, because what you're talking about here is not just, the the product, but you're talking about creating a community around the lifestyle, which I think is
Absolutely.
incredible.
Absolutely. I just don't want it to be some regular website. I want this to have real content, real value. Like, so when you go to the website, you're going to get something there that you maybe didn't expect to get, and it's going to help you, and you may use it again.
I
Right?
love it.
So we're
I
very
love,
excited about that.
yeah. And what
We've
else you have
also
going
got
on?
we've
Yeah.
also got something very exciting. We're launching a new line of sauces,
Okay.
and they're called chaat sauces. So
Ah,
yeah, so this is for your chaat papri lovers, your samosa chaat
over here,
lovers.
please.
There we go. See, I mean, who doesn't love a good chaat, right? And you need sauce.
Yeah.
So we've got two sauces coming out. One's a lal and one's a hurry,
Okay.
and we're hoping to actually launch them at the Anoki event.
Oh, I
And
can't wait.
yeah, we're very excited. We're going to be giving tons of stuff away at the event.
Oh
Um,
my gosh. I'm
yeah, it's gonna
excited.
be exciting. You know what? I love chaat papri so much. Like
So do I.
every time I order Indian food, I have to get it. And so I was like, you know what? There should be, because the sauce that you put on a chaat papri is a little different than you may use to dip a samosa in.
Yes.
And so, so that's kind of the angle we're coming from. And if it goes, then we've got a couple other flavors lined up to add on to the chaat sauces. So
Oh my God, I
look
can't
out
wait.
for it at the Anoki event. Yeah, it's
Oh
gonna
my
be
God. Guys, we had the plug right there. For those of you guys who have, not really been active in our social media platforms, what is the matter with you? Head on over to everywhere social media at Anoki Lifestyle and go see. We are completely on blackout with regular programming. We are dominating Anoki 20 throughout all of our platforms because we want to share with you guys every single thing that you've got to look forward to. Go over to anoki20.com to the website. Go check out the programming. Go check out all of our sponsors like KFI, who are a part of our world. The reason why we're able to do this event is because of brands like this who are supporting us and coming on board. And we are also getting close to launching our first batch of talent, which actually by the time you guys hear this and you watch this, we would have already launched the first batch. So go to anoki20.com. I'm so excited. I know a lot of people have been asking us, Rishi, who is coming out? And so we're getting ready to drip launch that over the next couple of weeks. So look out for that.
Right.
Rishi, I want to ask you this. As an entrepreneur, as someone actually who's been a professional and an entrepreneur, what is your one piece of advice for budding professionals and entrepreneurs that you wish you had and that would have maybe changed things? Maybe it would have. I'm going to say this again. This is like I said that I messed that up. So, Rishi, I want to ask you this. What is your one piece of advice for budding professionals and entrepreneurs that you wish you had known all those years ago when you started out, whether it was in your professional space or whether it was when you decided to start KFI? Share that with everyone.
It's interesting when you were asking the question, actually, something else really popped into my mind, which I think is very, very important to share. So I was working in corporate and I made the transition over to business. And I think, a lot of people sometimes might feel that the corporate world is the safe route or the easy route.
Mm-hmm.
And it's absolutely not. I think it's really, really important for people to understand that both are different and unique. Like they each have their own challenges. Someone who has climbed the ladder in the corporate world is equally successful as an entrepreneur who's been successful. So I don't think people should feel the pressure to go and be an entrepreneur. If you want to, and if it's in you, that's great. And if it is in you and you think it's in you, then be prepared for a very, very challenging road ahead. It is not for the faint of heart at all. No matter what the industry is, no business is easy, no matter what you hear. Now, when I was starting out, I heard a piece of advice that, I kind of kept with me throughout the years. It's very simple, and I'm sure a lot of people have heard this. It goes, if you do what you've always done, then you'll get what you've always gotten. It's very simple. But I would really use that because for me, you know, it was all about selling, right? So I had to go and meet with buyers and I had to try and get them to buy into my idea and product. But you'd be very lucky if you got a response from a buyer on the very first email. It just doesn't
Hmm.
happen. So
Hmm.
if I didn't get a response, then I'd have to think of another way to do it because if I send the same email again, I'm going to get the same response.
Yeah.
So I'd have to think of something else to do. And that I really use that throughout, like no matter, even in my personal life too, I use that because, if you are looking for a different outcome in life, then you need to do something different.
Right.
It may be getting up earlier than normal. It could be, it could be anything, right? But it's so, fundamental to me. And I've also always kept that close to my heart. And I think it's helped me a lot. The other thing was, you've really got to be able to put yourself out there when you're starting a business. Like I was a little bit of an introvert,
Hmm.
still am a little bit, but when you're in a business, trying to start a business, you need to call attention to yourself. You really
Yeah.
need to go out there, make a lot of noise, talk, ask questions. If you don't ask, you'll never know, kind of thing, right? So these are the kind of two things that have kind of stayed close to me, and I think that uh, yeah, it's worked for me, I guess. But it's not just a simple solution to the problem of starting a business, but it's one of the things that you can certainly use to kind of further yourself.
Absolutely. And, it's really poignant what you shared there, Rishi, because a lot of people, look at what you said there as, okay, so if I need to make different strides, I've got to do things differently, right? On the other, and that's true. On the flip side, think also about the fact that doing the same thing, getting you a specific outcome is also a very positive thing, especially when
Yep,
you're looking at operations, when you're looking at customer service, when you're looking at
absolutely.
delivering product. You need a consistent methodology that's going to always give you the same result. Similar to when I pick up one of your sauces, I know that every single time that I
Yeah,
open this jar, this food is going to taste the same,
yeah. You're
right?
absolutely right. You're absolutely right. It's like, don't fix a wheel if it's not broken, right? Like
Yeah,
it's exactly like because it takes a while to figure out what works. Like, it's very rare that you get it on the first track, but if you do, great. And if once you figure it out, you keep doing that. That's it,
that's
and
it.
it's it. And business is an adventure. It is exciting at times. I know that I remember like in the first probably, I don't know, 10 years of the business, at least once a year, I wanted to stop what I was doing and go back to the bank. At least
Yeah,
once a year, I would get upset or something would happen and I'd be like, "Oh, I don't want to do this anymore." And the minute I say that, a month later, something great happens, right? You get a
hmm,
listing, or you get, some sales data that comes in, and you keep going. And that's really all that it's about, right? It's persistence. You gotta be
absolutely.
persistent. Yeah.
Absolutely. And just to close things off, Rishi, oh my God, I feel like there's so many more questions I can ask you. So I feel like we've got to have another conversation, an encore,
I would love
but
to. Yeah.
I would love it too, especially when you got the new stuff that comes out, right? I think it'll be
Yeah.
great to have a conversation then. Um, I wanted to ask you when you made the decision to come on board with Anoki, can you share with everyone, what that was for you? Because I'd love to share that with everyone out there. Why do people collaborate? And it doesn't necessarily have to be you and I in this particular instance. I'm saying it because that's the conversation we're having. It could be any other collaboration because that's also a really important business strategy that a lot of
Yeah.
people feel that they don't need to do and they just keep staying in their lane and chugging along when there is an opportunity to tap into collaborative partnerships. I want you to share that piece, especially
Yeah.
as
I'd
an
love to.
MBA guy. Yeah.
I would love to. You know what? I mean, Enoki, I've been a fan of Enoki ever since it launched here in Canada. Like, I remember when you came and you launched the magazine, and I remember getting the magazine, and it was like, finally, there is a South Asian presence in our, at that time, didn't exist, but social media community. And so, for me, it was like, finally, like, we've got something that we can relate to, and we can, it's part of our culture. So having said that, you know, when this opportunity came up, I just thought, who is Enoki speaking to, right?
Mhm.
That's kind of where we started. So I sat down with Pat, my marketing guy, and I said, Pat, let's look at Enoki because, I've always loved their brand and I love what they're doing for the community. And so, and we did this exercise 2 years ago where we tried to figure out who is our bullseye customer, like who is the number one person we want to speak to, right? And it was a
Mhm.
South Asian female, mother, young kids, struggling with dinners, what we talked about. And so, when we made that parallel that, hey, Enoki, that's who they're speaking to as well.
Mhm.
And we just thought this is the perfect match for us. And so, we've always wanted to get involved with Enoki, and we're so happy and thrilled to be a part of this event. And I think it's going to be a phenomenal event. We're so excited to be there. And you know what? It's going to help us get our brand out there, and we're
Mhm.
excited about that. And thank you for that as well, for the opportunity to work with you. And so,
Of
to me,
course,
it's a
Rishi.
no-brainer. Yeah, I think we look forward to working with you more in the future.
Oh, I really look forward to that as well, Rishi. And guys, these are the stories that make up the success of the dynamic South Asian community. When I started Enoki 20 years ago, nobody really wanted to be associated with, sharing the culture. People were embarrassed from the community. People who were not from the community didn't really quite understand who we were outside of the stereotypes. This is why I feel 20 years later, where we as a community dominate every single industry in the world today. Look at Rishi with his brand in the food space. Look at butter chicken. We just heard it right here. The number one source that consumers purchase. That's insane.
Yeah.
This is what's happened in the last 2 decades. The story of our community and celebrating it is really something that I can't imagine not doing with other brands like KFI. I really, really hope you guys come out. Hop on over to enoki20.com, see what we're doing there. And also, when you go to our sponsors page, you'll see the KFI logo right there. Click on it, go see what they're up to. And Rishi, I know also that KFI Sauces.com is where the new iteration of the community that will be
Yes.
KFI is going to be coming about soon, in about another month's time, guys. Do check back, and don't forget to go say hi to Rishi and the KFI team during Enoki's Emerald event series on June the 16th and 17th at the Western Toronto Airport Hotel. Cannot wait. Thank you so much for coming on, Rishi, and I really, really appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you, Raj. Really great to be here, and can't wait for the event.
Absolutely. Guys, I'll see you on the next edition of Enoki Uncensored. Until then, please take care of yourselves and share with everyone you know this episode, because you know that it's important for our community to be able to showcase, feature, share, and celebrate the wonderful stories that make us the dynamic community that we are regionally, nationally, and internationally. Take care of yourself, guys.